you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Ernst.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks to our nominees for being here today. There has been a lot of discussion about reductions in force today, and Mr. Cooper, I'll just ask you if you happen to know this, what % of federal employees have received a reduction in force notice?
Yes, Senator. I don't know the specific number, but it's a relatively small number if you look at the overall workforce today.
Yes, and while the RIFs are front and center, let's look at some of the employees who might need to get a RIF notice if they haven't already. A Veterans Affairs manager responsible for scheduling veterans appointments posted on social media that he was phoning it in from a bubble bath while calls to the VA have gone unanswered. Yes, that is a hairy leg hanging out of a bathtub. That is the actual photo that he posted during his work hours and on a Zoom call. An Army veteran gave up on getting mental health, and please listen to this, everyone. An Army veteran gave up on getting mental health care from the VA because after years of trying to get an appointment, he met with a therapist who, quote, spent the appointment singing the praises of remote work with a cat draped around her neck. He said it was such a disaster that, quote, now I'm just on my meds doing my best. A HUD employee was arrested for drunk driving at 3:30 in the afternoon on a Friday and may have been paid for time spent sitting in jail. HUD had no idea until I told them. For more than 3 years, a Social Security employee was running a home inspection business. Meanwhile, his mother was responding to his emails. It should have been a hole-in-one, but it took the IRS nearly a decade to fire an IRS employee who was golfing on the taxpayer's dime. The E in DOGE doesn't stand for elimination, it stands for efficiency. The American people are best served by an efficient workforce full of good employees, and there are many. I have been heartened by the number of federal employees who have approached me blowing the whistle on bureaucrats who are failing to live up to the standards we expect. There are so many more unnamed federal employees like the current acting administrator of the Social Security Administration, Mr. Dudek, who know veterans and taxpayers deserve better than bubble bath bureaucrats and self-interested therapists. Mr. Dudek demonstrated his commitment to stopping fraud and improper payments and was rewarded with a big promotion. So Mr. Cooper and Mr. Uland, how can agencies be empowered to not only dismiss bad employees quickly, but also provide positive incentives for good employees like fast-tracked promotions and other rewards? And I'll start with you, Mr. Cooper.
Great, thank you, Senator. We talked about this a little bit in your office, so I'm happy to return to it. Yes, look, one of the things that we would like to do if I have the opportunity to lead OPM is completely relook at the entire talent management process. One of the most critical ones, as you mentioned, is the overall performance review and promotion process. And so it's very clear from my perspective that we want a high-performing, high-accountability organization. I mentioned this in my opening statement, but we should not have a situation where 69% of the workforce is ranked above average. That just kind of defies logic in many respects. So one of the things that I think OPM should do is do a complete review of that, figure out ways in which we can have a system that, again, rewards innovation, rewards good work, but also one in which if we have individuals who unfortunately are not able to perform their functions, managers need the ability to remove those people in a timely manner from their organization.
No, and thank you. I will assume your confirmation and say that I look forward to working with you on that.
Thank you,
Mr. Uland.
Thank you, Senator. And just very quickly, that's what President Trump expects out of us. To take a look at the rules of the road for the federal workforce, find ways to innovate, create, and ultimately set new norms about high performance and the accountability that comes along with the opportunity and the privilege of federal service. We are all at-will employees. You are at will of the electorate. Everybody behind you, I've served my entire life up here in other roles in the private sector as an at-will employee. It's invigorating. It's exciting. You learn what the expectations are, and you work hard with a high-performing team to deliver results. I'm excited about the president's charge here to rethink, reimagine, and renew for the federal workforce here in the 21st century, and that's my commitment to this committee.
Yes, and I thank you both, and I know that my time has expired. We don't have other members here, so I'm just going to make one final point. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. So just a final point, because I know I had a colleague the other day that spent 25 hours talking about the federal government on the floor of the Senate. And part of what he said really bothered me, because there were insinuations that there would be cuts to the Social Security Administration, and people wouldn't see delivery and you know, all of this talk. It was talk. But what I wanted to do was stand up on the floor and say, and I know from personal experience again, because I had to take issue with this, the Social Security Administrative Office in Northwest Iowa had been closed, and the workers were doing remote work for 4 years. COVID? I think not, folks. We're beyond that. 4 years, constituents came to me complaining because they couldn't get their calls returned, they couldn't get emails returned, and they couldn't go to the office and see anyone. These are people seeking disability services. These are elderly. These are people that have lost their spouses and need assistance with Social Security, and they couldn't get their phone calls returned, emails returned, and they couldn't see someone in person. I had to call the Social Security Administrator into my office to answer why these people are not at work and assisting our citizens. So don't tell me that everything has been rolling just so smoothly under this last administration. We need people that care about our constituents. They need to show up to work and do their work. We should reward good employees and get rid of those that truly don't want to work for Americans and only are working for themselves. So I do expect that from both of you, and I know that we will get that from both of you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Ernst. You're almost done. We're saving the best for last. Senator Ernst's story is about